Alright, welcome back. This is problem number 2, and I noticed that my voice was really quiet in the first episode, so here's hoping I can do better this time. Okay, greatest common divisor of strings. That's ominous. For two strings s and t, we say t divides s if and only if s equals t plus t plus t plus t, etc. Given two strings, return the largest string x that divides both string 1 and string 2. Okay. So looking at the examples, we have ABC goes into ABC, ABC, ABAB, and ABAB, ABAB, AB. Leet and code has nothing. Okay, so if I check and find any, this is not a straightforward answer. Return the largest string. I could take the smaller string of the two and just see if it divides both. Yeah, so with ABC it works, and then with ABAB it doesn't, so I want to start dropping letters from ABAB until I run out of letters. What if can I just cut it in? I can cut it in half because it has to be able to know. Because if it was a 3, like if ab were the smallest one, I can't just cut that in half. But I can start dropping letters Okay, so we're going to create a divisor that equals the smaller of the two strings. And then while I want to return the largest string, so as soon as I find that string that divides both, I can get out of here, which means that while divisor not equals empty string, okay, so I've got this string, call it ABAB. As long as there's letters in there, I'm going to keep going through this. And what I need to do is check if this divisor evenly divides So I can check that the modulo of the length is true, is equal to 0. That'll get rid of a bunch of attempts. So if divisor, if div length string 1 modulo div length or string 2 modulo div length is greater than 0, then I can just move on. That's not going to be a divisor. Otherwise, we're going to find out what the multiplier is. String 1 factor will be equal to string 1 length string 1 length modulo div and string 2 factor equals string 2 modulo div. So now we know how many times this thing can go into. Now we're going to check if the multiplied div equals the full string. So if string 1 is equal to string 1 factor times div, and also string 2 is equal to string 2 factor times div, then we've found the greatest common divisor, and that's what we return is div. If those are not good, then we want a shorter div. So div equals I should be able to cut it off from the end, I think. So div equals div starting out, ending at -1. So it'll be one shorter than the previous. Now I know there's an opportunity to cut it down on the first one, but that means copying all this code basically. So let's move along for now. This is going to be return div. Okay, so let's make this real code. Divisor equals equal to the smaller of the two strings. So what's the easiest way to do that? I think there's a more elegant way, but easiest way is going to be if string 1 smaller, I'm writing JavaScript, string 2, and these are going to be lengths. If length of string 1 is smaller than the length of string 2, then the divisor equals string 1. Else, the divisor equals string 2. Now, let's make this bigger. Okay, so I want to know let's do another function. How about that? Def is divisor string 1 div so given a string and a div, I want to find out if it divides, one divides into the other. I need to do string 1, string 2, div. So string 1 factor equals string 1 equals length of string 1 modulo length of div. String 2 factor equals length of string 2 modulo div, modulo length of div. Then if string 1 is equal to string 1 factor times div, and string 2 is equal to string 2 factor times div, return true. This is going to be is common divisor. Okay, so this else return false. This means I can just run this now and see if the first one is a factor. So is common divisor, this is going to be self dot because it's in a class. Is common divisor, and we're going to do string 1, string 2, and div. If is common divisor, then we can return Divisor. Else we can have div, because we know it's not going to be in there. And we know if there is a divisor, it's got to be at least half of the original. So divisor equals divisor starting at 0 and going to length of divisor integer division 2. Are we assuming it consists of English? It doesn't say, but I think we can assume that they're all even, because otherwise this doesn't really, well, I guess it does work. If it's a 3 or something, you could have an odd instance. Okay, so I've gotten rid of that first thing. Now I can do, well, divisor is not equal to an empty string. If string 1 modulo this is if the length of string 1 modulo length of div is not equal to or is greater than 0, or if the length of string 2 modulo length of divisor is greater than 0, that means that they can't divide. So I can skip this iteration. Continue. Otherwise, I can continue and do is common divisor string 1, string 2, divisor. Make sure we have pretty code. And then I'll do if true, then return divisor. If not true, then div gets smaller. Divisor equals divisor -1. And then we return divisor in the case that nothing works. Test it out. Takes exactly 3 arguments, 4 were given. I forgot to put self in here. Self. I always forget that. Is common divisor is not defined. That is untrue. Is common divisor string 1, string 2, dev. Did I spell something wrong? is common divisor. Oh, I forgot a self. Oy, so many selves. Running, wrong answer. I did not find ABC. Why did I not? So ABC should have given me divisor because it's the shorter of the two strings. And then is common divisor should have found ABC. Print string 1, string 2, and div. What did we find? So on the first run, div came back as ABC, which is what it's supposed to be. Okay. And then print this was supposed to be divide, isn't it? Yeah, I pseudocoded modulo, but I should have put divide. Run. And that worked. Case 1, 2, 3. Submit. It's taking a long time. They're going to time me out. Yep, time limit exceeded. They don't like how long I take to do things. Which means there's a better way out there. The problem is I can't just have it over and over again the way I would with a binary situation. Last executed input. Because if I have it over and over again, I don't get odd divisors. And if I checked 4, then it might be 3 and not 2 that is the divisor of a 9 string. So, what am I missing? I have a working solution, it's just not fast enough. So I'm going to check the discussions and see what other people are running into. Problem is poorly stated. Can be brute forced. I think the same way Euclid's algorithm is easy once you know it. Reviewed the solutions to get a general poll. How many of you would have? Okay, output. If you're stuck on this and need a hint, there are a few. We only need to quickly provides us with a solution that significantly outperforms brute force. Okay. So how do we find things that evenly divide quickly? Well, I've already accounted for that. Oh, could it be that adjusting the length is a problem? What if instead of changing the divisor, what if in addition to this I do if the length let's do that and that. Yeah, I don't need an else there because it'll return if these are good. So this is going to throw out those cases before I have to iterate over anything. I guess that's not a whole lot of... we'll see how this goes. Invalid syntax. What did I do? If. That'll do it every time. Okay. This gave the wrong answer. Why is that? Maybe there's something wrong in this. Okay, so modulo divide string 1 and string 2. The length of string 1 and the length of string 2 against the divisor. So in the case of this one, this actually didn't run the first time, which is the problem. Why didn't it run the first time? We have string 1, which is a length 6, divisor, which is length 3, so that should come to this is checking that they are equal to 0. Time limit exceeded. Okay, any other ideas? A lot of people had problems understanding what a divisor is. Not uncommon. Well, I passed the test cases. I'm confident that I've solved the problem. I just need to make it better, more performant in order to pass the solution. So I'll do that offline, and thanks for joining me. Bye.